Hello there, ladies, gentlemen, and unicorns. I welcome you to this summer solstice stream. It is still light somewhat out there. You can even see the tree behind me in the window. And yes, congratulations, Limbo Not, on winning the pop quiz, followed by Commander Stitch and Kersey Boo just joined. So let's say, Kersey, you're third in the pop quiz without even answering one question. Hello, everyone. I hope you are doing quite well, because I know that I am, since today I enjoyed some floor time. This I can really recommend, especially when it's hot out. I just splayed myself flat on the floor, not loafing, but more like splaying, like on the back, and just arms and legs extended. And the funny thing was, I fell asleep and had a little nap just there on the floor. And since then, I'm doing great. I'm even doing better than with the iced coffee that I had before. So take it for what it's worth from your pal Nap Time Phil. Hi, that is me. Welcome, everyone. Yes, as the title description already says, today I'm going to keep working on my upcoming game, because now it's real. The thing has a Steam page, and at some point it should be done. This week I spent, for the most part, working with the entire Steam communication things. And today I get very frustrated trying to have something that you would usually expect from a game, where when you have started a game and you go back to the main title or restart the game, then it wouldn't start a new game. Instead, it would say continue, and it would just load your latest save and start from there. Not that easy. So this is probably going to be a bit more work, but the good news is basically the Steam build is working, and I already tested it on Steam, so at least that is working. And this is why I thought, hey, let's come up with some fun achievements for the game and do some drawings of little achievement icons. So this is what I have in plan for ourselves today. Well, there's one more thing, because I thought I have so many old retro things in the basement in the studio. You probably have seen the shelf, and I thought occasionally I do a little retro show and tell when things become current, such as this week, where finally I reacquainted myself with an old friend. Fanning is also here, and yes, I still haven't added the ramen to the automated unicorn Limbo Not. Thank you for trying. Commander Stitch is here, and Kersey Boo is here, and who have I seen else? Limbo Not, of course. Limbo Not, you're here. And Fanning says, floor time is great, even better when you have bunnies. Oh, bunnies probably, and kittens, but yeah, okay, that sounds super fluffy and cuddly. Probably then I should look into getting bunnies, just so that you can enjoy floor time a little more. Unless, of course, the bunnies aren't really well trained to not crap everywhere when they're on their floor, on their part of the floor. Right, so one other thing. Last time I said, my old Xbox controller is already getting sticky triggers. Apparently that's a condition, and I got myself a new one, a black one. Turns out I got the white one. At that point, I only went by price and not so much by color. So this was the cheapest one, and it's a good replacement, because Windows doesn't complain anymore that the latest USB device that was connected is somehow faulty. So that's not the thing. Commander Stitch says, visiting my sisters here in Utah. 2 out of 9 sisters. Wow. Congratulations. I hope family is well with you, because I would assume it is, because last time I think you were visiting your grandparents. So I'm glad that you get to visit your family all over the place. That's really wholesome. And still you drop in, even if you're in lurking mode. All good with me. I'm just so happy that apparently you're having fun and what's the word? Not fun. A wholesome, friendly time catching up with your family, I hope. And the automated unicorn deleted a random curly bracket. And well, truth be told, today was super frustrating for programming, because it turns out what happened was I didn't close a comment. And when you work without context highlighting, it doesn't even show. And of course the code doesn't run because everything is commented out. And at some point I was just really aghast, frustrated, and even to a certain point enraged because it was not working. My entire code at some point was not working. And turns out, yeah, it was one of not the runaway curly brackets, but it was the not closed multi-line comment. Yeah, that's one of those. And Commander says, yeah, it was in Oregon, visited a sister in Wyoming and one in Wyoming. Okay, so 2 more there. Awesome. So apparently, yeah, your family is all over the place. Yeah, it's similar with us here. I mean, Austria is much smaller as the US, but still, yeah, we also have family pretty much everywhere. And as I said, last week, we had the kids over 1 year and 3.5, and it was exhausting. But it was great fun. We went to the zoo. I saw a rhino and a red panda. So I'm good. Right, so you know what, since I have apparently 8 viewers here, hello everyone, let's do the little retro show and tell, because like I said, I've reacquainted myself with a good old friend from back then, and I wonder how many of you know what this thing is, and how many of you had something like this. Yeah, it's mini disc. It's a format I can show you for those who don't know. Well, first let's start with the device itself. So this is my Sony mini disc Walkman. It's a player and recorder, and I got this, well, not exactly this one, but the very same model with the very same color in around 2000. So this thing is 25 years old. And the cool thing about this was it felt like a big step up from the Walkman that you would have before with the tapes and so on. So because this you could essentially record yourself, but jump to different tracks like on a CD. And it was disc based, and those are the discs, the mini discs. Fanning says, I have one of those. And not GameCube games, not almost. I mean, I do have some GameCube games, but yeah. Never heard of a mini disc. Neat, says Commander Stitch. Oh, then you're in for a treat. Yeah. So this is how these little things look like. And they are super flat, and they also have here this little write protection switch there. And they are relatively sturdy. So you can, when I bounce it around, you can hear the disc inside, but apart from that, it's relatively sturdy, and it feels like a long lost floppy disk format, because again, this was the hottest shit around the 2000s, and it quickly disappeared, especially when we had Apple came out with the iPod. So soon after, no one played this. It's a bit like with the UMDs, the Universal Media Discs. Sony tried to invent or make a thing with a PSP, where there were even, I recall, the first Spider-Man with Tobey Maguire. This would be released on one of those UMDs that you can only play on your PlayStation Portable in this tinier screen. And the same thing was with mini discs. There were albums released on mini disc. I don't think anyone bought them. I mean, I had a mini disc recorder and I did not buy them. What I used this mini disc recorder for, oh, by the way, let me show you how you load these things in, because it's kind of neat. It has here this little eject button, and this is what happens. So it opens up. There we go. And then you can just stick the disc in, close it up, and it would make this very wholesome noise. And on top you had here this little display that would, of course, hold. You had here this little display that shows you what track is currently playing. And the cool thing is, of course, you can use the buttons for the menu to select individual ASCII characters, so you can name these things yourself. And the good thing is, it's a bit better to maneuver or to jump to seek, so to speak, to certain tracks, because it would show the title name. Right now it just says 012, 013, because none of the tracks are named on this one. But the cool thing is, like I said, it reads all the track names, and you can quickly jump to a track that you want to play. But that's not all. It also came with this thing here. This is one of the first at least that I've witnessed, remote controls. So this you stick into the side port, and you have all the controls that you have there on the face of the mini disc player itself. And the connector is this wonderful contraption. There we go. So it's this little 3.5 millimeter jack, I think, but you have some 4-pin data port as well, and it goes in here at the bottom. And also, as for inputs, this is a second output for headphones or earphones. Then the white thing here, if you can see it, this is actually a line in, and it's even an optical line in. And the red one, yeah, this I probably used the most. This was for a microphone. And I recall getting also a stereo microphone for this one, because I was so eager to record my own sound effects. And with mini disc, it felt like a big step up from recording via tape, because the quality, I mean, it's digital. It's a bit like a DAT, a digital audio tape recorder, but it's not tape. It's just mini disc. Of course, it's compressed, but far better than MP3. I mean, you wouldn't hear the compression or that it's compressed. And as far as I know, even radio stations back in the days recorded on mini disc, because it was relatively easy. And you see, even 20 years ago, this was relatively small, and all you needed is one AAA battery in there, and then it would, I mean, you would get a couple of hours out there. The thing is, with the microphone, it was a stereo microphone, also by Sony, and I recall it cost back then the amazing sum of 500 Austrian shillings. This was before we had the euro, so I think that's roughly 35 euros. But back then, of course, money was worth much more, and I recall saving up a lot of my allowance, and yeah, and I even made little covers there and printed my own labels and so on. Yeah, this is, you can see from what time period this is. This disc is called The Matrix, because I got a bunch of colored discs, and this was the coolest one. That was the black one. And I recorded from my very first DVD that was of The Matrix. I recorded just some scenes onto mini discs so that I can hear them or listen to them when I was riding the bus to school. So yeah, sad childhood, the end. But yeah, I just thought that I share with you some of these weird little things. So I hope it was not too boring. Funning says, I have a Silent Hill game on UMD. Oh, is it Shattered Memories or Homecoming? And Kirsty says, seems neat. Yeah, 500 shilling, exactly. I don't know what this thing cost. Oh yes, I said I had this one, but not this one. And this was what I found on Marketplace this week. And it was relatively cheap. Usually they go for like 180 to 200 euros that I've seen. But I got this one for the low price of about 80 euros with shipping. So probably it cost around as much as back in the day, I think. And yeah, the person who sold it said it comes without anything. There is no remote with it, no charger, no anything. It's really just this thing. And I thought, yeah, all the other things, I mean, I've either lost or the control I still do have. So the funny thing is, where is my mini disc recorder, you might ask? And yeah, in college, as I was studying it, I was still using it for recording audio for video, because the built-in microphones of the cameras, especially back then, weren't really usable. So I recorded everything still with mini disc. And some other students took notice and thought, hey, that's kind of neat. Can I borrow it? And I said, sure. Yeah, never got it back. And the funny thing is, this looks so much, even with a little wear, that probably it could be mine. I don't know even who the seller was. Everything was via this platform. So there's a chance that it's not zero that I just bought my own mini disc recorder, because it even makes the same noises. I mean, I still knew it how to turn down from just muscle memory. It was kind of remarkable. So yeah, this was my little joyful looking back at retro tech. And now finally the mini disc has come home, and I can listen to all these recordings that I made of mini discs. I already, before the stream, I listened into some of my of these discs, and I realized it's not that interesting, because at a certain point I really used them for listening to music. So what I had was recordings of MP3s that I downloaded via Napster so that I could listen to them. Again, this was before we had iPods and phones with storage space where you could play MP3s with. So yeah, this was a step up from the good old tape Walkman, but still, yeah, I mean, as for how much fits on there, it's like a CD. I think it says here 74 minutes. Yeah, and it's a digital audio recordable mini disc of the color collection, and this is the color black. Still have some unopened mini discs that I haven't used. So blanks. Maybe they will turn up to be a fortune, probably even on the same lines as Bitcoin. So yeah, this will be my insurance, or so to speak, even for retirement. This is yeah, what I will retire with. Okay, Farning had Silent Hill Homecoming and a Monster Hunter game. I think I do also have a Silent Hill game, but I'm not sure if it's for the PSP. I also think it might be Homecoming or Downpour. Funny thing is, I've never played it because I thought I want to catch up first with the other Silent Hill games, which I did, but on the PC on an emulator. So I played Silent Hill 1 and Silent Hill 2 I think in the last 3 or 4 years or something. And especially Silent Hill 2, yeah, it's really a great game. So I played it a lot, and as some of you know, I remastered in HD the making of that came with the PC version of Silent Hill. So I think I still have it somewhere there in my shelf. Talking about shelf stuff, one other thing that I've bought myself this week, and it's this wonderful thing. It's a book. I mean, it's in German, but you can probably understand what it reads because it's just the und is, there we go, is the and in English. So yeah, it's usability and UX, because so far I've been just winging it. So where I thought, okay, does this feel usable? Is there anything annoying to me or anything that doesn't feel intuitive? So yeah, now I should have some sort of textbook that I can refer to. And I've looked at things like, yeah, it's the good old mix between psychology and design language and web design, and especially user interfaces and user experience flow and that sort of thing. So yeah, I just started with it, but so far I think it's a good comprehensive textbook, just so that you can look things up, since especially I'm making a text game. Right, okay, thank you everyone for still sticking around. I think it's time for us that we look at this big gray canvas, and this should be an icon. Yes, this is Krita, and oh yes, I can show you the current state of things. So this is my upcoming game. It's called, as you can see, The Wizard's Beans, and finally, it has an icon here. For the longest time, it didn't update the old icon, so I had a chat with Steam support, and it turns out this is the community icon, not the client icon that apparently I need to change. So I did this, and it's working finally. All, you know, the capsule art and so on. It's a lot that you need for Steam. Yeah, so everything here, even with the first couple of screenshots, which I think still has a typo on it, one of them. So yeah, I want to make this look a little bit nicer, and maybe even have some images for subheadings. You know, where other games usually don't have here this story features in the font of Steam, but instead have somewhat more advanced graphics, like yeah, just to make things look a bit nicer. So if I go, for example, to news and noteworthy, probably, let's have a look at Counter-Strike 2. Probably they do things. No, they don't do it differently than I did. I thought they would. Maybe. Let's have a look. Maybe Dune Awakening. Maybe they do it. Yeah, you see here like some GIFs and headers there, just to make the page a bit more interesting to look at. So yeah, probably, I mean, for a text game, having animated things here is might not be what people are looking for, but still, I think that you get the general idea. And Svadin subscribed. Thank you for being a subscriber for 9 months. My God, this means a lot to me that people decide to subscribe to this scrawny little channel. So thank you, Svadin. Really appreciate it. Right, so yeah, and when I hit play, you can see that finally I got around to making the nice looking icons there. Icons, I mean buttons. But no, they just look exactly the same as they looked the last time that we've looked at them, which was last week. So I think I have it locally. I haven't uploaded the latest Steam build. And now look at this. Here the buttons look much nicer. Even have this little hover animation. So overall, I'm kind of pleased with how coherent it looks. And the cool thing is, since it's CSS, when I go to settings, and I didn't have to change anything there, this is why there is still this stand-in background from the previous game, that all the buttons that I say, hey, this is a type button, they change accordingly to look exactly the same, which is kind of cool. Right. So yeah, the game itself looks like this. What has changed so far is mostly things under the hood, like a messaging system between the game itself and the framework it's in. By framework, I mean essentially what I said this last time. The game itself is just a browser that runs my page. That is the Steam game, but the Twine game. But of course, to be able to have a main menu and settings and the credits and the game itself, have it embedded as an iframe. So essentially, the entire page is just an iframe, and depending on whether I'm in a menu, it displays differently than when this runs in an iframe. So what I set up this week was just messaging going back and forth between those two tiers, so to speak. So for example, when you unlock an achievement in Twine, when it's standalone, when it runs in a regular browser, like you would have when you click to build and play, then all it does, it opens up here in a regular browser. And when you unlock an achievement, it would just vanish into thin air. It would just yell into the void, hey, someone unlocked an achievement, and no one would be there to pick it up, unless it's running in this framework where the parent actually picks up these kinds of messages and says, okay, this is an achievement that's from this source. Yeah, that looks legitimate. Let's notify Steam and so on. So that is the idea behind everything. Commander Stitch says, neat. I don't know what to, but I just pick it up as a general kind of neat. So yeah, this is the current state of affairs. What is still missing is, well, I painted some art that I can show you first, because like I said, there is one puzzle missing, and the ending screens. So yeah, as for the buttons, you can see they're implemented as border image in CSS, where you can have a certain image, in this case, well, this image, and you just specify, I think, the percentage from each side, which counts as a left, top, and lower border, and from then on, it just stretches what's in the center or repeats what's in the center, and thus you get these nice looking user interface items. So, and since everything is hand-drawn, as you can also see here when you look up closely with the logo, yeah, it was traced. It's not perfect, because I thought the entire game is not perfect, and I like this hand-drawn appeal. So this is also why the buttons are hand-drawn, and I want to follow the same design language, so to speak, for the achievement icons. So what are the achievements, you might be asking? The answer is, I only have ideas for some of them, but then of course it depends on how the beta testing is going. So for this, I thought I just start with different achievement icons. For example, one, when you start the game the first time, you get an achievement. As a player, you probably think, how is that an achievement? But as many of you developers know, achievements is a great way of keeping tabs with how many of people who bought the game actually launched it at least once. And with my other game, it's like 50%. So on one hand, I'm super grateful that people buy the game, but then it's a little bit disheartening to know that only 50% ever started the game. But I mean, I still get the money for it, unless they've returned it. So it's, yeah, just to give you a bit of a baseline, because especially when you have an ending achievement or different endings and different achievements per endings, chances are that some people want to stick around longer and to see all the different endings. And you as a developer know, okay, ending number 16 is much more prevalent than ending number 3. So maybe did I design something wrong, or is this actually intentional? It's just essentially just reading your audience what is happening with the game. And Limbonaut gave the automated unicorn a cookie, and you know what? I haven't hydrated myself, so cheers. I mean, I did hydrate myself. We went swimming, and I'm not a swimmer, and it was very apparent because just doing some strokes and I was super winded. Anyway, I was just much more exhausted afterwards than I thought that I would be. Anyway, okay, so achievement icons. How is this done? How do achievements work in the Steam backend? One thing is, of course, when the game is running in Steam, the achievements get sent straight to Steam, and their servers handle granting or even clearing certain achievements. What I also thought is, what if, let's assume that I'll be also making a version for itch.io which doesn't have Steam achievements. How to handle this? And for this, I also have an implementation of something in the parent framework. So essentially it works like this. The game says, hey, someone unlocked an achievement, and the parent says, okay, am I running in a Steam version? If yes, then I'm handing this over to Steam. And if not, then I'm handling things myself. So instead of having the Steam overlay pop up the achievement, I can pretty much do anything that I want myself, like also have a little pop-up somewhere. And what's more important is that the unlocked achievement needs to be stored locally. So, but still I want to adhere to the standards of the Steam achievements, and which is, I think I can show you how it looks here in, don't want to publish story JavaScript. So the achievements, where do I have it? I don't think I have it here. Do I? Yeah, again, this is one massive 2000 lines long JavaScript file on top of everything. And somewhere here I have inventory actions, helpers. Somewhere I have the achievements, which essentially is, it constructs an object that it just sends up the chain. But I think I changed this so that it only says, okay, this is the ID of the achievement, and the framework on top handles everything like, okay, where is little achievement icon? Where should it be displayed? Is there a subline? What is the current localized string for the achievement text, and so on? So yeah. Anyway, this is not what we're going to do today. Instead, finally, we're going to draw some achievement icons. So the only thing that's important to know is how large will they be, and it's also possible to have an icon for the achievement when it's unlocked and when it's locked. So usually the locked achievement icon should be very toned down so that it's not too flashy, so that as players you can look at your achievements right away and see which one are still locked. For example, I mean, you all know this. Let's have a look here at Command & Conquer, for example. So the achievements that are unlocked, well, the newest ones have this little glow effect behind them. But when we go here to global achievements, you can, even without zooming in or anything, you can see which achievements have been unlocked and which are still locked, just from the coloring. And as a player, I always feel like, yeah, this is probably the best way to do things. There are other kinds of games where, was it Crusader Kings? I mean, I haven't played Crusader Kings yet, so I cannot show you. But there were other games when it was not very apparent when an achievement was locked or unlocked. So usually it goes like this, that there is this little lock icon on top, and it's just black and white. It's grayscale, so that instantly you can see it, that there's achievements that are not unlocked. And of course, you can say you will have hidden achievements that are only displayed when you have unlocked them. So you don't even know what the achievements are unless you look into a guide. Right. So the other thing that is worth mentioning is how large to draw these achievements, because in the end they will be pretty small. I think this is 64 by 64 pixels, depending on screen resolution. Steam recommends to go as large as 256 by 256 pixels for the achievements, but always check them at just icon size to be readable. Because here, I mean, we have here Alpha and Bravo, and when you look at it really this small, maybe you can read there's an A and there's a B at the corner. But apart from this, it looks just noisy, and it's super hard to understand what is going on. Whereas this icon here, do you require the operator? This is a phone. Even at its smallest, you can read it. So again, thank you Usability and UX book for reiterating this. Okay, so we are here in Photoshop. Do I want to Photoshop, or is there a better tool available? And as always with Adobe software, kinda there is. And my favorite drawing app is Krita. For those who don't know, as far as I know, Krita is free. And you can get it on the Krita website. It's krita.org. Let me paste it there. And there we go. Only allowed to have one size. As far as I know, yes. Let's see. I think Steam support says 256 by 256. And you cannot change this. And if you upload something that is larger, it will scale down to this. And what irks me personally is, I like icons. I like nice looking icons. And especially here, as it's called, the community icon has to be of a certain size, but I know that this will get displayed at 16 by 16 pixels at some point. So I even made a custom version of just this icon that is made for 16 by 16 pixels. Where do I have it? Promo icon. It's this one here. Because otherwise, if I make it a bit smaller, things blur together and you can better make out what it is. Apart from this automatically downscaled and everything just blurs together. So yeah, I was very much looking forward to this, but yeah, that's you can't have this. Sad. Anyway, so when I'm drawing icons or anything, any assets for games, usually I draw them at least twice the size that I need them, because you never know at some point when you need to come back and need a bigger size of something. For example, Steam says, hey, we're supporting Retina displays now, so please make sure that your capsule is not 200 pixels, but is 2000 pixels or something. And please change this within the next 2 weeks. Usually this means you would scramble and, depending on your game, have to hire an artist or whatever just to make this look nice at the higher resolution. And so this is why usually I draw things much bigger than I use it in the end. The upside to this is small things that look a bit rushed or not finished in the big version, they kind of, again, it blurs together in the small version. For example, the logo or the icon, I mean, this is probably the biggest that you will ever see the icon. And if I zoom in, it looks very detailed and everything. But of course, the original art of this is in UHD, is in 3680 or 860 pixels wide. So again, when you zoom in there, it looks, it's a different matter. So, okay, so which size should we start with? And I would say with something that is more akin to 1024 by 1024 pixels, which I think is quite a good size, because the good thing is when you draw something or make your assets bigger than you would ever need them in game, hey, maybe you need them as marketing assets somewhere, or if you have, I don't know, a stand at a conference or an expo or something, or make icons, stickers or something. It's always good to have the pixels when you need them. Thank you for redeeming Unicorn Cursibu. Cheers, everyone. And is there music playing in the background? Because I'm not sure there is. I think we can't hear this. Let me turn up the volume. Do you hear any music in the background? And yes, start with H2O. Here we go. Let it snow, H2O. Because I think it would be nice to have some music in the background. Because it clearly says there at the bottom corner which music currently is playing. So Kersey says, I don't hear it. Yeah, I don't see that there are any levels. Let me quickly check. Desktop audio. What is wrong with the desktop audio source? Device, speakers. Was that it? Let's increase the volume. There we go. So I think that was it. Now you should be hopefully able to hear it. Oh, this was a shame. We had some very nice. That was probably too loud, so I bring it down to there. I think this should be a good volume. Otherwise, please let me know. No, says Cursey-Poo. So you didn't have any music. You didn't hear anything. I mean, it's good, so at least I do not get copyright flagged. But it worked there. Amazing. I also have some levels, so this is good. If it's too loud, let me know and I can turn it down. Right. Okay, let's get started. Again, making achievement icons is a bit like designing candy, I feel. You want to have different, you have a variety, but at the same time you want that everyone knows, okay, that's the same, it's from the same box of chocolates. So they need to have some elements that are cohesive and coherent. And I like in this case, as you've seen, my colors are blue and yellow, and usually things have a frame, as you can see with the icon here, or with the buttons. So everything has this frame, and I think this also would work well for the achievement icons. One thing that you cannot have with achievement icons is any sort of transparency. So if you make some things circular and have no background, whatever is outside the circle here will be black in the end. So this is why most of the achievements still have this square-based thing going on. So pretty quiet is the music. Fair enough. Should be better now. By the way, this is the soundtrack to Gimmick, the official arranged soundtrack that came out this year. And it's by the original composer, or at least some songs are still by the original composer, and others, at least greenlit by the original composer, or at least they said, yeah, this is good. I'm missing the word. But you know what I mean. Authorized, maybe. Okay, so as for the frame. First thing is, what kind of brush do I want to use? And I also always like this kind of pastel brush. So this is going to be how I start drawing here the frame. I mean, I like it when I draw things by hand, that it looks a little bit crooked, but this might be too much, especially because I will be using this frame over and over. So I probably instead will just go with the regular old line tool, just to make it look a bit nicer. There we go. I could have also used the rectangle tool, but I chose the line tool because I completely forgot that I could use the rectangle tool. So here we are. Maybe I can make it a bit wider like this, so that everything, all the brush strokes are snug with the borders of the canvas and not cut off. They just have a little bit of breathing room there. Okay, I think this is good as a reference as any. So, brush. Let's make my brush smaller. There are probably many very handy and useful shortcuts for Krita. of changing your brush size and that sort of thing, which I'm always using a Krita when I'm on the go on my Surface tablet, and for this I'm much faster. But probably I should look into, yeah, this is, for example, this right-click menu. That's really something that I hardly use. Why don't I use it? Oh, right, because the right-click is for some reason not working with the open tablet driver that I'm using in Windows 10. Anyway, changing brush size is the brackets, the square brackets. Thank you. Again, the only problem is that I'm having my German keyboard there. And when I'm hitting the keys where these icons usually are, I mean, they are matched differently. So instead of the square brackets, I have German umlauts, and when I hit them, nothing happens. If I want to type a square bracket, I have to hold down Alt-GR and then type the brackets. And by this point, when I need to hold down one key and do the other, it's faster if I just go up there and do this. But thank you, Limbonaut. If you know any shortcuts where I could do things better, please let me know. Despite probably not always being able to do it, I always like it when I learn something new. Right, so brush, why am I not brushing? Oh, of course, I selected the eraser brush, right? I think this was my previous brush. Yes, indeed. So as for coloring, so you see I just started out here with white. So as for, that's good to lay things out. So as for color, I think having, let's open up here Photoshop again with the button, game assets, UI. There's my buttons. So that I use something like this. It looks a little bit like brass, I think. So, and for this I can just copy the hex value there, I think, and use it in Krita. So where are my colors? Toolbars show, no, it's the dock. Show dockers, docker. Compositions, digital color mixer. Where do I have my palette or swatches? There is my palette. Now I only need here the advanced color selector. That's the thing. And HSV is usually, yeah, most intuitive. Usability, says Limbonaut. Exactly, yeah, that's the thing. With so many keyboard shortcuts, because I'm used to my German keyboard layout, many of them don't work. The most egregious one is when you use Control-Z. That's that's a fun one, actually. Let me quickly show you what I mean, how it looks for German, let's say, afflicted people. Just have to wait here. There we go. I will switch over now. So yeah, this is my German layout keyboard, and you can see here where the square brackets are. I just got the umlauts, and the funny thing is when you hit Control-Z, you would go just like this. Okay, now the chat's on top of it, but you just go like this. The problem is in German, you can see we have the QWERTY keyboard and not the QWERTY. So the undo is this uncomfortable shortcut for German speakers, unless of course you change the keyboard layout. But I always find it funny when people for the first time they switch over to the American layout and just realize that this Control-Y is actually Control-Z and vice versa. So it's much more comfortable when you constantly want to undo things. So this is why I map, I can switch easily between the German and the American layout just by doing this. The only downside is, of course, when I switch, I mean, the layout is switched, but of course the key labels aren't. And this is usually throwing me off. So I think the square brackets are here. And as soon as you type something in your command line, but you have a German labeled keyboard, but in the command line you don't have the German layout loaded, it becomes a fun exercise to find, let's say, the backslash or the asterisk. I think it's Shift and 8 when you don't see it. So this is why I'm still complaining that that I'm not seeing the actual labels that I want to type. I mean, wasn't there an OLED keyboard or something that would change on the fly also the labels on the keys? I mean, it's kind of cool, but then again, it was, I think, prohibitively expensive, and also the actual key switches were kind of crap. Limonaut says, this is why I always stick with ANSI. Yeah, that's... If I've heard from other people that say, yeah, Dvorak all the way. And I thought, oh, Jesus, this is, my brain's not wired up for this. But in the end, I think, especially when you do something with computers like programming, it pains me to say, but going the American way is probably best. Not because it is the best layout or anything, just because it's so common and everyone suggests or expects that you have an American layout. Especially when you look at tutorials for Blender or something and in Photoshop. I mean, there are many things that I'm not using in Photoshop, have never been used in 25 plus years just because of the keyboard layout. I mean, I run my own layout mapping, but still, you know what I mean. Right, where were we? Colors. Which color? And can I... My question was here in the color picker, is there just a way for me to select the color by, not by clicking in the palette, but by just clicking in there and piping in an RGB value? I mean, it's kind of cool what I have here, but tool options, brush smoothing. I think this is really basic, and probably there is a way where I can just click and have exactly what I have here in Photoshop, where when I click the color and I get this color picker here with the hex value that I can easily copy. Anyway, probably, I mean, in the end, if it's roughly the same color, it should be fine. I mean, this looks roughly the same color. Right, so the next thing is, what I like when I draw is, once I have here my basic shape, in this case with white, I just lock the transparency. And now when I paint over, as you probably expect, I'm locked to this transparency that I've selected. Okay, so now right click worked, and I wonder what I need to do that it works. Oh, interesting, I have to hold the button down and then... So I can't just push the button on the stylus, I have to hold it and then have the stylus touch my drawing tablet. Okay, this is good to know, but it's much faster than what I was using before. This is so cool, this palette thing here. If only it were a little bit larger, because my eyesight is so bad, but probably I can just... Oh, that's the size of the brush. This is the size of my canvas, and those are the previous brushes that I used. And see here, I can select the last two colors. Neat! Okay, this is kind of cool. Right, so I need a bigger brush and just give it here this basic color, and then I will start doing the shading. So I mean, I already like how this looks. Probably because you might have guessed that this sunny yellow is my favorite color. So let's go a little bit brighter, and for this I create a new layer and select here the layer transparency that I have. Okay, right clicking does not work here. Select opaque, and now I'm drawing on a new layer on top, but again only where the transparency of the underlying layer is. Limbonaut says, you could rebind those keys, right? Might be worth spending a few minutes for something you do often. Yeah, that's of course, my thing is with rebinding keys is that I feel when I come to a new computer where someone is using the default settings, I have a hard time finding my way around. This is the number one thing why I don't do key bindings or different key bindings that often, because I've been burned once or twice by running my own completely own key bindings, and then wasn't able to readjust to the default. The problem was I was demoing a certain software, and of course when you demo Photoshop or something and you run your own keyboard commands for years, and then people say, how do I make a new layer? Or how did you just duplicate things? And I said, well, it's just Shift D and Alt and the circumflex or something. And they say, yeah, it doesn't work on my machine. And you think, oh, right. And so many things I don't even know where the menu items are anymore. So I thought maybe for certain software, for example, also at work, when I'm working with DaVinci Resolve, I tried to ingrain myself with the default settings just so that whenever there's an update and my user settings are trashed, or again, I have to go to, and it was also this year, to a different facility in a different country and do the color grading there. And I cannot take a USB stick or something with my settings because security, and yeah, especially when you work on bigger productions, you cannot just plug any old thing in. It was a bit of a problem. So this is why I think I'm doing things. But Limonade says that's definitely the downside. Yet again, I mean, Krita. When I'm painting a lot with Krita, I probably should do this. But as you said, it's not a couple of minutes, it's probably a week, because then you have to get used to your own keys and using them. You realize, okay, I'm not using that keyboard shortcut that often, or it's not that comfortable, and then you try things out and have to readjust. So it's really something for a lifetime, I would say. So I love shading and probably overdo it sometimes even. So let's, I thought this was the brush size. One thing that I love in Krita is the shortcut that I know, that is E, that you can, let me show you what happens when you hit E. You see this icon here, when I hit E, it's active or inactive. And this is the eraser. So currently my brush is, well, brushing. And as soon as I hit E, it becomes an eraser. And with the same brush tip and anything that I have said before, which is something that I miss in Photoshop. I mean, you can do something similar in Photoshop, but it still requires you to take some more steps that aren't as straightforward as just hitting E and you'll be done with. Yeah, for those who are curious, in Photoshop, you can, when you draw something with a brush, let's draw something here, and you can change it to be an eraser by switching here the mode from normal to clear, and then it is the same thing. But again, it's one thing to draw something and just hit E, or to always go up here to this menu and then go back. When you want to change something, it's a bit too much, and then go back, and the entire flow is gone. And with just hitting E, it's still there. And it's really it's these small things that I always find so interesting, that one click might be too much in some experience, or at some point. And again, I find it kind of curious to understand, okay, at what point do you feel as a user, okay, now they're asking a bit too much of me? Oh, and I changed here to difference and not, I think all I want is addition. I was a little bit thrown off why the color was coming off so weirdly. Anyway, let's continue. Limbonaut says, here's a radical solution. Get a custom mini keyboard for your shortcuts and make keycaps with icons. Program it to do whatever you want. You know what? I kind of have something like this. And it's, there you can see it. It's this thing here. It's the Stream Deck. So the only thing is, I'm using it, as you can see right now, here for the stream. So and not many software works with this, but there's even more. And I always felt, yeah, this matrix here is just a little bit too small. And the big Stream Deck is probably much more comfortable, but also much more expensive than this one. So this is why, yeah, I'm not using it for this. Probably I should just get another one, and then I have like two stream decks, one for the stream and one for the software. But I mean, you know what? Long term, probably not a bad idea, especially for software that you use often. And I'm still painting here incorrectly because I'm painting here with addition, and I wonder now what is color. It's probably just, is it color? What is the default option here? Probably normal. Oh, Phil, you're really showing how little you know this program. Because usually I stick to just one or two different brushes. The upside of doing this is that it looks very coherent. What I've heard often is that beginners try or tend to use way too many different brushes, and then the entire image looks a little bit disjointed. So I also try not to vary too much the brush size even, especially for smaller, more graphic looking things. So this is why you probably won't see me use a different brush than I have. But of course, trying to find the perfect brush, that's a lot of fun. Because you just get to go through all the brushes that there are, all of them, and it's just so fun. It's like trying out new instruments. Cross your fingers, says Cursey Boo. Adobe doesn't make microtransactions where you can buy convenient keyboard shortcuts. I think you're onto something. Limonon says, wait till they invent micro subscriptions. It's like, do you really want to save now? I mean, you can save once per hour, or if you are on our creator, or let's call it on our paranoia program, you can save like 3 times every hour for free and pay the low price of 5 cents every additional time you save your artwork. Did we also mention that Photoshop is now much less stable than it used to be? So you better pay up and save. My God, we're living in a time right now where I really think it's not too far off. It's not too far out of things that could theoretically come to fruition at some point. Okay, so it looks a little bit like a picture frame. Do I like this? Or don't I like this? You know what? I think I like this. But instead of having it like this conical frame, is it conical? Instead, I want to have it like this brass ring that goes around. So instead of doing here this little beveled edges, I just have here the fake 3D effect go all the way around, and then just shade it a bit more. Right. Good, we have music in the background when I forget to talk while I'm drawing. But this is a good thing when you're a solo developer, is when you are completely fed up with, I don't know, programming or some task. There's always a completely different task that also needs to be done. For example, when I cannot, for the life of me, paint another brush stroke, then I can work on coding. And when I even feel like, okay, probably I don't feel like coding, I'm way too tired right now, or feeling not inspired for code, I can do some music. And when I want to get outside, then I can take reference pictures, or I can record ambience that I will need. So the chores are endless, but so are the possibilities to find different distractions that still contribute to the bigger end result. Okay, so does this look a little bit brassy or golden? And so I have here, since I have it on its own layer, and when I decide, for example, that maybe it looks a bit too sandy, select, deselect, it looks a bit too sandy, then I can just change here, filter, map, no, it was adjust, desaturate, color balance, HSV adjust. Then I can just change the appearance of the underlying thing. I mean, you know what? If it weren't for this game, I kind of like how this looks, because it's just so punchy and saturated. But probably this won't carry over in the stream. because I'm painting at the full color gamut of my monitor, which is a color grading monitor, so it's really bright pink. So maybe don't go there. So if I turn down the saturation a bit, and to make something look a bit more, I don't know, brassy, you go a bit more into the green than the brown. And if you want more golden, you go with the shadows a bit more into the reds and browns. So same thing for copper. So again, if we're here, this looks kind of coppery, almost golden. And the more I shift the underlying color, not the reflection, but the underlying color towards green, the more it comes off as brass, I think. So I think this would be a nice balance. Let's try it a bit. No, that's the wrong direction, Phil. Something like this. Maybe just 6 or something. Yeah. Kirsty says, don't some people have a music system that lowers the volume when you talk and raises it in silence? Yes, exactly. I think this is called ducking. Or when you have a compressor. I used to have one. I mean, we can try this right now. Usually this is something that people, professional streamers, should do before the stream so that it works at the stream. And I had it working, but then I changed computers and certain things didn't carry over. And I used to have this ducking feature, or a compressor as it was called. Let me quickly try it if I can get it to work with OBS. So let's go to filters, audio filters, upward compressor, 3-band equalizer. You know what? Let's not do it on stream, because I need to listen to it, and probably we'll introduce feedback. But praise ourselves. If the music is too loud in the background, then please let me know. But you know what? I will note this down, that it's something that I should look into. What is this? Alan Wake 2 notes. And here are my Clair Obscure Expedition 33 notes of all the things that are still kicking my ass, and that at some point I need to come back and find revenge. So if I'm encountering an enemy that is too strong, it literally goes onto my list for later. So all I need is now a clean page. Or just this. I have these tiny note cards exactly for things like this. So compressor / auto ducking for stream. I really hope that I recall what auto ducking means, and I'm not looking into, I don't know, ducks driving cars or something. I thought, what did I intend with this? Kirsty says, okay, phew, yeah. You know me and technical difficulties, and this probably would have taken us a little bit longer. I'm painting on the wrong layer. Amazing. So, good. So we have it a little bit more brassy looking. Maybe I can... What did I want? What was the keyboard shortcut? Oh, that's like in Photoshop. Maybe I can do something here with the highlight that I just painted. So if I give it a bit more saturation and it's more towards yellow, again, it might look a bit too strong. So I diminish its lightness slightly, the saturation as well, because then I still have some latitude that I can paint in some highly reflective highlights. Thank you, Limbonaud. I wish I had some coffee. I already had coffee today. Of course I did. I'm not sure that, or whether people outside of Austria and Germany perhaps are familiar with ice coffee, because it's different than iced coffee. Iced coffee, there's even the Viennese iced coffee. Essentially, that is, you get cold coffee. I'm not sure if it's cold brew coffee, it's or just stale old coffee, but it's cold coffee in a tall glass with 2 scoops of vanilla ice cream and whipped cream on top. And the Viennese, the Vienna version of it, it comes even pre-sweetened, so it's almost a whole meal that you get out of it. So let me paint first like so. Let me paint in some specular highlights. So for this, I go with something that is very bright. And why can't I see it? Is this too small? Am I using the wrong brush? Is the opacity not high enough? Yeah, my brush was probably just a tad too small. So if you want to paint something, some specular highlights, I mean, on one hand, I can show you when I just do it here with the line tool, it looks like this. It's okay, but it doesn't look particularly realistic. So what I like to do is I use a relatively small brush and then just make little squiggly lines. And when you have them fade out at some point, it looks for some reason a bit more realistic, like there's a structure to it underneath. There's a texture, and the reflection is really picking up on this texture, for example. So again, this looks in my book a little bit more realistic than otherwise. But yeah, maybe again this will be so small in the end, so maybe I'm overdoing things here. So maybe let's make it a bit bigger and do the old classic. This is, yeah, that still looks bad. Maybe I have a brush here. Let's try this one here that is a bit more, yeah, has more ragged edges. Because with this, let's try again. Again, it feels like there's more texture to it than you actually have to paint in, just because of the medium or the brush you use. So, of course, always mind where the light is coming from. I usually have my light source, my assumed light source coming in from the top right. So this is where usually you want also your specular highlights. There we go. Kersey says, are the colors gonna look right in stream for users? You are designing it on your fancy monitor. Yeah, that's the thing. When I export it, of course, it will be converted to sRGB, which is the lowest common denominator for colors. So that's the thing, is right now I'm painting in a gamut that is much wider, exactly. But since I'm not using any very saturated colors, it's going to look similar. I mean, we can try and test how this looks like, but essentially what I'm doing is I'm working, as you say, in a color space that is wider than the audience will have in the end. So I'm trying now to have here the best experience for me as an artist, and then start compromising when I export it to viewers. But that's a good question indeed, because why am I working in this and not already in the color space of the end users? Is especially with Krita and these digital art tools, the color fidelity when you blend layers together. I think I showed it last time with the red and the green. When you mix these colors, that in the sRGB color space, actually what happens is wrong, photogrammetrically, not photogrammetric, color scientifically, I think I would say, or physically speaking, is wrong what happens, because the gamma gets calculated in, but the gamma is just for viewing, because the underlying values are just intensities of wavelengths, different wavelengths of light. So yeah, long story short, sorry, I'm off on a tangent again. Long story short, I want to have the maximum fidelity when I'm working and blending colors together, and when I'm exporting for users, I will see, okay, does it still look kinda the same how I want it to be? Otherwise, when you work, for example, in sRGB 8-bit, you have lots of problems with banding. I can quickly demonstrate it, what this means. So when, for example, let's first make sure that this indeed is sRGB 8-bit. Assign profile. Don't color manage this. Let's say sRGB working profile. Yes. So let's assume I have here a gradient of colors that are very closely related. This is my Game Boy gradient, so probably not that. But something like this. So when I'm working now in this 8-bit color space and going brighter and darker, and then think, okay, maybe that's too dark, I need to make things brighter, and suddenly you can see already that there's some banding happening. I mean, Photoshop already does a little bit of dithering to avoid these kinds of things that are happening, but these effects, especially when you blend things together, really start to accumulate. And so I thought I was having much more problems than I intended to have when working with this. So for example, if I add now another layer on top of this with, let's say, the add color blending or something, and again here I make things darker and brighter. So individually it doesn't look so bad, but as soon as you start blending things together, still the fidelity is not there. So essentially, and this is I'm trying to avoid, because at the end when I'm baking everything together and I'm working with the values that are essentially it's rounding errors that just keep accumulating. So makes sense, nice to your logic / process. But again, it's a good question because yeah, why work in something that is of no benefit essentially to the end user? And the biggest things with color gamut come when you use very strong colors. For example, when I'm using a red that is like really bright and saturated. I'm looking now at the other monitor and it doesn't carry across because the entire stream is in Rec 709. So again, it's a very relatively limited color gamut. But again, it's what we get with TV, unless it's HD TV or HDR, I mean, because then it's slightly better. Right, so I think I like this frame. So the rest of the achievements should go into this frame. Makes sense. Should we also have a default background? I think this would make sense. So that the background is always, I don't know, blue, as we've had it here. I mean, this is the active version, so it would be this kind of blue in here. Let's group this. Did I just duplicate it? Yes. Create new group layer. There we go, and I just call this frame. Nice. And another group layer, and I call this base. And you know what? I can save it. At some point, it might not be the worst to save it. So game assets, achievements. Yeah, this is the previous achievement from the previous game, the Power MT game. So I will call it achievements version 01. And I will save it already as Photoshop image. Will lose information from your image. Well then, cannot save layers with color model RGB alpha and 16-bit depth float per channel. These will be converted or skipped. So again, yeah, then let's save it also as Krita file, just to not lose anything. Right. So as for the base, I kind of do the same thing. Just try to figure out what kind of blue I used here. It's a little bit less saturated, I think it's that blue. Why can't I see it? Oh, it's a layer. It's a group layer and not a layer. So yeah, that was the thing. And it needs to be a little bit less saturated and a little bit darker. And let's make the brush a bit bigger. And it's a different blue. It feels like it's a different blue. So this is a bit more towards cyan, less saturated and maybe a bit darker. still feels a little bit off. Again, too much saturation. Yeah, there we go. I think that's the right blue. Yeah, matching colors by eye is really something that I've learned over the years. It's not a special ability or skill. You don't have to have any talent for it. It really, when you're a colorist and you do this like 8 hours a day, at a certain point, you develop this sense. Good, okay, so this is the background, and maybe it would be nice if the background also had some sort of slight shading to it. So let's make it here brighter. I mean, we can have that it's brighter on this side, or we can make it that it's actually going down, going inside, away from the viewer. But you know what? I think I like it better the other way. Kirsty says, it gotta be tough to memorize every color to get your degree. Exactly. This is how it works with it. On the color college, you just have to memorize all the colors that there are, and when you want to get your degree, they just point to a color and say, what is this color's name? And then you have to say, oh, it's dark mauve. And they say, very well, what is this color? And you go, oh, it's probably turquoise. And yeah, that's how you get your degree. Maybe this is a bit too strong for this bevel kind of thing. So I still have the brush that I picked up before, so instead I want to return to this one that we had. Yeah, this looks better. So instead I will just use this brush here. And yeah, now we can make this effect here with the beveled edges that I kind of like. So underneath I take a color that is slightly darker than what we have, but not as dark as the background. Maybe too dark. So something that sits roughly between. That's still too close to the other one. Maybe this. And again, rotating the canvas. And I said this multiple times, the undo effect, my God, is where would I be without the undo effect? Recently, this week, I also was in the cafe. We were sitting outside and I had some time. And I thought, wouldn't it be nice if I just draw what I'm seeing? And I just looked over. I can show you how my drawing went. And drew what I saw. And it wasn't that bad, the end result. But one thing that I missed, I mean, I did use undo, but then I realized there's another thing that I would love to have. And this would be the color picker, because I'm so used to saying, okay, let's pick this color and make it slightly darker. And yeah, this is, I'm focusing now on the small window and not switching over to the big window because it's not that good. But overall, yeah, you can see it's just a row of cars and then some green things and a house in the background. Yeah. And again, picking colors from sight, what is the RGB value of the red of the car, wasn't as easy as initially expected. Because I'm so used to digital tools, it's like when people say they don't know how to write longhand anymore, and I totally understand it, because you don't need it that much. So, and now I can go darker here for the bottom bevel. And then I will rotate it back to normal and see how wonky my lines are, because I have a very bad feeling. I mean, they only need to hold up at 256 pixels, but yeah, especially here, this this angle here looks a bit different than this one here. So we're already in this part of drawing where I feel like, yeah, could be better. So, right. Let's check for ourselves and let's make this small. And you know what? It looks a little bit wonky in small. Why can't I zoom in anymore? Okay, I can pick up colors. That's good, but not zoom in with Control Plus that I'm used to. Never fear, I can just use the controls down here. So one other thing that I've noticed when I'm looking at this in this small, the blue looks very uniform, and the bevel effect doesn't really come out as much as I wish. So let's make it a bit stronger. Interesting. I think my problem was that I wasn't using the control key, but instead the wonky Windows, not the actual Windows key, but the one that's on the other side, the context menu key. I think this is why it didn't work how I intended it to work. Okay, bit more saturation, not that much saturation, bit lighter, not that light. There we go, at the sides. Also slightly lighter, not that bright. Or I can have it roughly the same as the bevel on top and then just decrease the opacity. Yeah, this should do. So when we look at this now and at this small size, you can still make out. Okay, so it was not the wrong key that I was holding. Because I can go smaller, but not bigger for some reason. Maybe I really should look into making my own color keyboard shortcuts. Kinda good, I would think. I mean, it should have this human touch, and it certainly has. So the last thing is maybe I want to have some sort of slight texture to it. Again, nothing that is too overwhelming. You know what? Let's save this as a Krita file that I don't get the warning every time. Krita document, achievements. There we go. Okay, I really have to look into the keyboard shortcuts now because this is already annoying me. Configure Krita. Was it there? Probably. Color management. It's so nice when there's color management built in somewhere. Tablet settings, canvas only settings, keyboard shortcuts. There we go. Zoom. Zoom in. Zoom out. Okay, control minus. This makes sense. Zoom in, control plus. Please. Control plus plus. There we go. In and out. Yes. And I'm happy again. Good. Okay, so for the texture here, I like to use some sort of spatter brushes that let's see here, sketch. Let's have all the brushes and then let's pick a nice one that does texturing. So probably maybe maybe something like this one here. Probably also should pick a different color. Let's go with a darker color. Yeah, I'm a fan of these kind of spatter brushes because again they give everything a feeling of texture and are just fire and forget. So maybe I can even have it here a bit worn off in the center, just ever so slightly. That it feels like it was used. It has some wear and tear. You know what? I kind of like it. Maybe now the frame, the border is too bright, and for some reason I don't like this transition here from this yellow to the blue. I feel it needs maybe some shadow there, because if it were real, there would be something. Let's see. Let me Google golden frame blue painting or something, and hopefully we find something that shows this how I want it to be, and then I can use this as a reference. Golden frame blue color. Interesting, but no. Or well, maybe this one here, where you can see maybe where the gold tapers off and goes almost black before the blue starts up again. Maybe I can try something like this, where I just add another shade effect on top of everything. It makes things a bit darker, just so that it reads better against the blue. So what is my color picker? Here is my color picker, and I go very dark brown, and not using the spatter brush. Which one did I use before, or which one would make sense? I mean, maybe this brush here that has this slightly ragged edge, and I make it much smaller. Rotate here my canvas again, that it's a bit easier to draw. And I don't like the brush anymore. When the brush works or feels different, then you would think it would behave. Something is wrong, and it takes much less time to pick a different brush that feels right than trying to get the one working. Kirsty says, it looks like the blue sticks out further than the gold. Shadows make sense. Exactly, probably because the frame is not as thick as this part is. I mean, it's almost the same, but I think, again, because of optical effects, it looks like that this is wider than actually it is. But also due to the shading. I think if I take out the shading just for reference, suddenly you see that it's roughly the same size. But of course, again, something that I've learned in color grading is if the scopes tell you scientifically that is the same color as in the shot before, but because of all the surrounding colors, it feels different, it appears different, well, then you have to account for it, because it's at the end of the day, it's still people watching this and not video scopes. So there is here this shading. The only downside is now that I hardly see the cursor there of my brush tip. Okay, let's try and see how this looks. Wait, is it not a gold cylinder shape? Yeah, I thought it should be a cylinder shape, but of course, when it's a cylinder shape, then it's only, you're absolutely right, it's only half the size, because then it would go down again, while this is like, like this beveled rectangle or beveled square that behaves much differently. Indeed, it should be half this width, exactly. So let me try and finish here, at least for now, this part. And maybe this gold half cylinder shape, maybe it needs to be even, the transition into this shaded part should be a bit stronger. So you see how sloppy I paint here, because I know in the end we will look at it at this size at the most, and there it looks like, yeah, there's some interesting texture going on. It's not that it has been painted rather sloppily. Maybe if I really have here a baseline of this line tool shape here on top of everything, when I zoom out, it still looks a bit human, but also has this baseline here of being actually straight compared to all the crooked lines that I've been painting. So good. And yeah, then I will look into making the bevel much thinner. In the end, it's all about blending different parts together. But always the question is when you do too much blending, when suddenly it looks blurry, and because sometimes you really need a very sharp edge between elements. And this, in the end, it comes down to, does it look right? Does it feel right? And I mean, it takes no artist to understand, okay, this feels wrong. The question of not even skill, just experience comes in to know, okay, what steps do I need to take to make it look correct? And again, it's a bit like programming. You try to identify what is actually wrong here, and just get to the individual components that causing this rift in perception just as quickly as possible. And again, it's not a special talent or anything. It's just down to experience and lots of work that you do this every day. So, oh yes, maybe I can also do this here so that it looks like it's joined together at the corners. If I do this at all the corners, then it looks more like a frame, I think. Okay, now for the blue shape. Let's decrease here the thickness. And for this, yeah, do I need this pencil? I mean, I like that the edge is very rough now. But is it too rough? Yeah, it looks a bit too soft, like also that this is rounded. So instead I switch back to this, what was it, the charcoal thing that we had before? Yeah, this one. Maybe not this big. Let's go with 34 pixels. Yeah, I think this might be a good width. And I'm choosing here the top edge just because it has the most contrast and reads best against the dark blue, so that I can check how it looks at a smaller size like here. Yeah, I think absolutely, Cursible, you were right. It looks much better now. So then, of course, I have to reflect this change on all the other edges. There we go. One down. And now I can fix that. It looked a little bit wonky because as it's rotated right now, this one here on the right is a bit too thin in the original or in the previous painting, but now it kind of works. Kirsty says, I can help debug programs and now art. Exactly. You've been an art debugger. That's really something, because especially with artworks, as the artist, at some point you lose all objectivity about it. And most of the time, I can tell you, you only see the flaws, but different flaws than other people, where you feel like, yeah, my painting, I don't know, it's the line work here in the background is completely, I don't know, the hatching is not perfect. I can still see all the things that aren't working. And other people look at it and say, why is this one tree in front of the other? And you go, oh, right, I put them on the wrong layer. And yeah, at some point you don't notice these things anymore. So now here for these beveled edges, I think they need some refinement there. Am I again on the wrong layer? Yes, of course. Drink every time someone paints on the wrong layer. There we go. Yep, looks much better. And now I can make the lower edge even darker, I think. That's the background. But here, the lower edge, yeah. Did I just hit cancel? Of course, I hit reset and not OK. There we go. Looks like a very random, well, not entirely random, but let's say unremarkable background, more or less. Do we want to have the gold effect a bit more pronounced? Because in that case, I mean, we can always try. In that case, I can go here a bit darker. And then add some more highlights where I need them. Because, as you know, I said I enjoy painting in highlights. But of course, if everything is high lit, then nothing really stands out anymore. So I have to, most of the time, restrain myself from just adding here this little golden rim on everything. So maybe if I take it out and just have it in certain places and not everywhere, the entire painting will benefit from. So I used a different brush. It was this one. And I used a different color. I think it was almost white that I used for the specular highlights. But yeah, specular highlights, when you paint and you want to have this reflection of a very strong light, like the sun or something, when there's this helpful rule, is the thing that the light is being reflected of conductible of electricity? That's kind of a weird thing to ask yourself, but if you say yes, I think, then it's a metal, and metals allow a different wavelength to be reflected than the light color. Again, with gold, gold is under a white light, let's assume. But the highlights of gold, they are this bright yellow. But if you have plastic and you shine a white light on it, it reflects the exact same color of the light. And this is how to make, especially compound materials, where you have something that is metal and then something that is not metal, or plastic or something leather, really stand out or read correctly to viewers. Because as someone looking at an image, you don't ask yourself, is this conducting electricity, this material? But of course, if it has a different color of the reflection, the light reflection, then you instinctively say, yeah, this looks like metal. Weird, right? Material science facts, indeed. I'm not sure if it's always true, but I've heard this in an art class many years back, and it just stuck out to me because it's not really something that you think about, the properties of the materials when you're painting. So for some reason I switched colors there. because I hit X and changed the two colors that I had. Okay, so I'm only saying, okay, the light is now coming from the top. I said I usually paint with the light coming from the top right, but I realized it because we have a very symmetrical here on the beveled edges, that the brightness is very symmetrical. So the light is actually coming from above, and I want to be this, that it's reflected. There we go. Also, this was so bad, also in the rest of the painting. So I have a feeling that my specular reflection is becoming too broad again, and thus looks more dull and not that reflective, not that shiny. But if I zoom out, it, on one hand I say it works, but it could also be wider actually than I've painted it, because then it has this spotlight notion, but only on the top and bottom border, and this is wrong. Yeah, much better, and by much I mean I think a little. So, and as for the blue, I will also go here with some specular highlights and say here, yeah, this top edge, this one is slightly rounded or dull, and thus catches here also the light from above. Kirsty says, would light coming from above make the blue have those shadows? Yeah, I would assume so. I mean, I'm trying now to find something that has roughly this shape, and I'm having here this pack of cards that is not this rounded off shape. Because, good question, it's always look at references if you're not sure. Do I have something that looks like this? I mean, I could cut up an apple or something. It's interesting that I do not have something like, well, maybe we can fake something like this. So I got a bunch of index cards, and I mean, of course, they are now a block, but if I move them apart or from each other, you can see here from the side that it has here this tapered shape. So, and when the light now is coming from this side, so this is the brightest part. Then if I turn it around, then here you see it already starts catching the shadows. The same thing here at the sides. It's slightly darker. If I also, let's try to make it like so. If you can see it, this is the shape. And again, the light is coming from this side. So this is brighter, this is slightly darker, and this has, well, it's not perfect, but this should be slightly darker as well. Open up Blender if you get desperate. You know what? I'm really desperate. Since I'm not using Blender, I still use Maya. But you know what? Let's have a look at it in Maya. I think last time when I really had troubles drawing the key art, Kirsty, you were there. I opened up Maya, did a very quick block out, and it helped me much better trying to figure out where the light is coming from. But yes, good question always. When you always go the extra mile, the good thing is, I mean, you get the exercise in. And the other thing is you remember it much better if you really tried something out. So Maya is loading all the hundreds of plugins that I will never ever use because I've lost what is current with 3D graphics, I think probably now 10-15 years ago. But I still probably am able to create here something that is what we want to create. So, no, create polygon. Where are my polygons? See, already forgot how to model. Create. Volume primitives, polygon primitives, yeah, of course. So let's make this shape, and I still have here some windows open. Right, the first thing is let's make a light source. Create lights. Let's say it's a directional light. And it's lighting from the top like this onto my shape here. And we look at it from this side. So right now you still see the default light, not this light. I just want to make first the geometry correct. So let's look at it from this side. And now I switch on this light. So the light is coming from here. Let's make it strong that we can see it, like intensity of 5. And when I look at it from the top, this is what it looks like. Kinda similar to what we have here, I would hope. So that we have it here, relatively strong, less stronger, still less stronger, and here is no light on this side. Of course, in my drawing, I assumed that there is still coming some light from the bottom, so it would look like this, and it kind of does. So, good. Now let's make sure that the that the frame around it looks similar. And how do I do this in Maya? First, I create a shape. Create a NURBS primitive. I think we can go with a square. Like so, and then I revolve a tube around it. If I still remember how this is done. So create NURBS primitives circle. There we have the circle. Okay, and now we have to figure out how this is done. So, modify display cache, create sweep mesh. Was it a sweep mesh? I think it was a sweep, not sweet, sweep mesh for the most part. And here, yes, it kinda looks how it's supposed to look, I think. So we have here our cylinders around it. I probably need to change here the shape. I mean, actually they should have hard edges there at the corners, or hard corners. I mean, we could do this differently, but then it wouldn't be a perfect half semicircle, or in this case, a perfect cylinder. So if I make this a bit bigger, and not as tall, something like this. Have here the face like so. So essentially this would be the shape with the lighting now, and I would say we're pretty close. There is, in this painting, I think the sides of the frame are too light compared to what we have here. Because of this lighting, there is relatively little shading there on these sides. Most of the shading you get here on the top and the bottom. So the unicorn does push-ups and gives up after the first half one. Oh, automated unicorn, I'm so there with you. So what have we learned? Pretty much that we're on the right track. So let me save this. And here, as for this part, let me do some paint overs here. So I'm just erasing paint that I have here on the edges, and let's make this a bit bigger. And I'm also going to, well, that was too much. I'm going to erase some of the shading here at the side. So not all of it, but most of it. And it's really dark when we go to the bottom. And yeah, it has, just realized, it looks a little bit like Warcraft for beginners in terms of the user interface. Because, I mean, Blizzard has this very stylistic way of doing things. Let's go Warcraft UI. Or Hearthstone UI button. Then it probably looks... I thought, you know what? I thought it looked more like what I had. So it doesn't look actually that close to what I have. I mean, of course, we have now the JPEG things, but UI game data database. That's how you spell it. And maybe we find there something just for reference. Warcraft. I love this site, not Wardcraft. Warcraft series showing zero games, really? Oh, Cloudflare is thinking I'm a UI bot. Warcraft Battle.net edition. I think those are the buttons I was thinking of, because they are also blue and have this yellow outline. But here they are red. I mean, there is a bit much going on with this menu there. Game states. I love this site. So if you don't know the game UI database, let me post it into the chat, because this is really a treasure trove, especially if you want to get to see how other games are doing things, or if you want to look at a certain, let's say here, you want to look at the UI style of in 3D space, or of a side menu in fantasy games or something. That's pretty cool. Right, okay, so it still lacks something. If this pops up as a player, you should really be glad or joyous that this is happening, because you just unlocked something. And maybe we can add some more shine to this. Right now I'm just trying. I'm just trying anything. I'm experimenting. Opacity, less opacity. Yeah, probably should rotate the canvas. And use a different brush. I think this is again what threw me off. Nope. Let's go with this one. Opacity 30%, still too strong. 13%. Now I have to clean up the excess paint, where I painted on top of everything. Yeah, I think that's it. That's what we were missing. So, save. Kersey says, already got it bookmarked from last time you shared. Oh, good. Oh, good. You were already there. It's really something that you can lose yourself in. So, opacity up, size down, and do some cleanups here. Again, I don't have to be super thorough, because this will be scaled down anyway, so it can be relatively sloppy, like I said, which as always helps. There is also something here poking out. Where is my cursor? Again, it's hard to see the cursor despite having Cursey Boo in the chat. Good. Okay, then since this is going to be an old button, right now it's perfectly flat, right? But if you have something that is probably like this old and maybe has been pushed or warped, let me add some more subdivisions. How do I do this? Mesh, combine, subdivide, smooth. Where is subdivide? Remesh, retopologize, mesh. Add divisions. Oh, there we go. It's actually the first one. So let's say subdivision levels 3. Let's go with 8. maybe 8 is too much. 8 is too much. Let's go with 4. Right. So, and now I want to say, yeah, this has already this little been warped by use. So how do I do this? I say, where are my sculpting tools? Here they are. So, and I'm using, so I'm slightly denting this inwards. This is way too much for what I want. So size, let's go with 4, and the strength 0.2. So you hardly see it, maybe here in the wireframe, no, not even in the wireframe. But when I look at it here from the side, you can see here that it has this slight depression, like a good button should have. So when again I look at it here from the top, here with my light, suddenly you can see here, when I pronounce it a little bit more, you see here that even the button itself gets some shading here. So what I always like to do is, when I'm drawing these kinds of buttons, is that here at the lower edge I also add not necessarily specularity, just make things slightly brighter again. Because on one hand it has this feeling of it got use, and the other hand is that the dark edge gets slightly more pronounced in the contrast. Where am I? Here am I. Different. What am I drawing? Why don't I see anything? Am I again erasing? Yes, again, I'm erasing. So opacity 40%, maybe less, and the size also smaller. That might be already too much. Let me scale this slightly. Yeah, that's of course now too much. But I'm not yet finished. Cursey redeemed unicorn, thank you. Thank you for looking out for me. I hope you also drink enough. So if I zoom out and decrease here the opacity to just a little bit, then I thought it would look better. I have better recollections of how things look when you do this. Maybe I just needed to fade it out a little bit more. Am I erasing? Opacity down, size up. Something like this. So it's a very, very slight gradient here towards the bottom. It's too little and too much at the same time. I hate it. Also, my watch just said, told me to be more active. Which I am, of course. I'm developing a game, little watch. Please, bear with me. Do I need to smooth it out a bit? I'm already at this point. Where do I have my smudge brush? Ah, there it is. This one, where I can, you see, I can make, yeah, just move the paint around. So if I make this a little bit softer, yeah, there we go. So you see, hopefully the effect, if I switch it on or off, it's kind of subtle, but still it looks like it has this slight bend to it and suddenly picks up more light coming from above. And in this small size feels, I don't know, it just feels a little bit more three-dimensional. Good. And this is why my games hardly ever ship, because I'm spending so much time with things like this. So. Good. So this would be the base, I would say, for our achievement buttons when they are unlocked. When they are locked, I mean, I like to usually paint over a cross over everything, but it could be fun if there maybe is, I don't know, a question mark on top of it. Okay, so when I'm hitting I, I'm decreasing the opacity, and my muscle memory says when I'm hitting I, I'm hitting the color picker. So again, this is time for shortcuts. Color picker, pick, random pick, no, what's it called? Sample a color from the current layer. It's P. It's right next to the opacity thing. It's P. Good to know. So configure Krita, sample, color sampler, and it's I, custom I. Reassign. And then we have opacity and increase opacity. Decrease would be now P. And P is already used for action to path. But you know what? I will go with this. I will stick with this. Good. So when I'm hitting I, I'm having here the color picker. When I'm hitting B, I'm back with the brush. Good. Okay. I, and I'm picking here this color. P, back with the brush. And I want to change the size of the brush. There we go. So, where am I? Right, so having here a big question mark, would this be fun, or would it be better if you have, when you have a locked achievement where it just shows this big X on top of it to designate that it's locked? Or just nothing at all, just have here the background displayed without anything on top. I mean, I'm a fan somewhat, well, fan might be a bit strong word, but I'm inclined towards painting here a big X on top of it and have everything desaturated. So, Kirsty says locked looks the same for each achievement. Yes, I would think so. Otherwise, it's a bit too much work, actually. I think here in Steam, some games have a, yeah, here you can see each achievement has the lock icon on top of the actual painting or the artwork. I mean, it's every time it's different, but I don't think I would personally, I don't gain anything from this blurry background behind the lock. So yes, I would make the locked symbol always to be the same, and then the unlocked just always have here the frame like they have here this, I don't know, stamp artwork. What I want to try is now create a new adjustment layer that just can I create that just desaturates everything. So reasonable, says Cursey-Boo. Indeed. I mean, I take this long for this, so hopefully I can save some time. So how can I make an adjustment layer? Can I do this here? Paint, group, clone, vector layer, filter layer. I think that's it. And the adjustment would be not the lightness, but the saturation. And I put it on top of everything. So how can I edit the filter layer? I can duplicate, flatten, select, add. I don't know how I can get back to the filter layer. Maybe it's a Docker somewhere. Docker layers. Is it in the tool options? No, that's from the brush. When I double click, I change the name. When I right click, oh, properties. That makes sense. So that I make it maybe a little bit darker. And maybe have another filter layer on top that does I need some curves. That's what I need. Emboss, enhance, edge detection, colors, blur. Is it artistic? Halftone. Kind of cool. Invert, slope, offset. I mean, it's kind of cool what different filters you get, but it's again, it's not the one that I want. Cross channel, desaturate, dodge, HSV adjust. Well, okay, then let's use the levels. I mean, I'm not using it for much anyway. So that we have here the locked achievement looks like this, and an unlocked achievement like so. Let's put them all in a group. And why is the group not showing? Because the group needs to sit on top, or the group properties need to have the blending mode. Which blending mode? Addition? No. Normal? Properties. Oh, pass through. That's probably what I want. Yes, that's the thing. Kirsty says, random idea, a locked achievement could look like it's sealed by a wizard's spell. Interesting. How would this look like? If you want more work, of course. How could it look sealed by a wizard's spell? I mean, for now, this would be the locked achievement, probably this size, and unlocked it's like so. So let me call this locked filter. It's save. Locked by a wizard. Sealed by a spell. I mean, it would be cool if I could animate it that it shimmers slightly or something. I will give this more thought. Now that I've seen what I can do with filter layers, I want to try another filter layer that just makes it a little bit more contrasty. Because again, this is going to be very small. So if we have some more contrast on everything. Maybe it will benefit it. I mean, the frame has now more contrast, which I kind of like because now it's very shiny. Where is it? Why can't I bring it up? There we go. So shiny. And as for the blue, let's for the base, as I called it, let's also add another filter layer. And let's go here with HSV and give it a bit more saturation. Maybe even more saturation. So now it looks a bit like comic book colors. Let's see. Okay, if the blue is darker and the frame is brighter. So this was before and now after. You know what? If I don't like it, then I can still take it out. But again, we're thinking it's very, very small icons, so maybe the shininess is kind of beneficial. And maybe here, this paint layer, maybe this one again is a bit too strong now. Yeah, save. Good. Let's keep it as it is for now. And now let's say, okay, this is the locked version that just makes it black and white. Yeah. And now we can maybe, hopefully, come up with ideas for the achievements. So one achievement, like I said, is when you first launch the game, then probably since the game is called The Wizard's Beans, at a point you unlock the beans. So maybe I have a little bean icon there, where it's just one of them cute beans looking at you. And which color works well with yellow and blue? Good question. Maybe green. Did we have here a green bean that looks at you? Or I think the pink bean we have that actually is part of the story. So we have here a bean shape and it looks kind of happy. Then different bean for each achievement. Oh, okay, that's a good idea. That's a good idea. So when you have unlocked the beans, or a different bean for each ending, maybe. But indeed, that's good ideas. Good ideas. So then I can continue just drawing beans, and then only think of for which achievement I can use the bean. Good idea. Again, thank you, Kersey, for debugging my art. So how can I move this around? What's the shortcut here? Move a layer. T for transform makes sense. And what's the other next to it that I cannot just move it but transform? Oh, it's Control T so that I can rotate it a little bit. Good. Okay. So this would be roughly the bean shape. Let's make here the edge a bit better. Still looks like a bean. You don't want it too round, but you also want it not too less round, not round enough. So I think I think this as the base for the bean. Maybe it's a bit rounder here. This looks good. Again, it's not perfect, but when I'm looking at it at this size, it should work. Then next up, we have the stubby legs of the bean. They're a bit too thin. Let's go with 50. And reads well against the background, so I think I can merge them actually together. And let's draw in some cute eyes. Because this is the slightly derpy but always happy looking bean. Maybe bring the eyes a bit closer together. Oh, cool, I can mirror the canvas. That's helpful. So the bean has... I'm not using bright white, so not 100% white and also not 100% black, so that we still have some hue in the color, but that's good enough, and also still reads like a slightly derpy looking bean. Let's call this eyes, and since I'm never sure where to place the mouth of something, doesn't look too wrong. Maybe the brush was a bit too thick. That's one happy bean. Yeah, I like it. I like it. Group bean pink. Now I can move it around as much as I want, and already painted here something on a layer that I not intended to paint on. Here it was the eyes. There we go. He likes it. Good. So the next thing would be to do some shading. I think you've already picked up on it, how I enjoy painting light and shadows into something. So let's first start with a relatively large brush, but low opacity, even less opacity. Good that the automated unicorn scratches its horn. And YNOC4 is here. How's it going? Hi YNOC, we're painting achievement icons. And Kersey was here while I fussed over the frame of, you see here, this yellow frame and the blue background. So much so that we have it even here, a mock-up in Maya, just that we can make sure that how the light looks is relatively correct. So slight shading there on the bean. So one thing is, which of these legs is the front one? always a question when you draw weird characters, because the back one should be darker, and the front one should be brighter. I mean, this could be the back one and this could be the front one, so that we have something like this. But is it here the same for the one on the back? Or should this be the front one and this be the... No, this doesn't look right. Yeah, I think that's a bit better. And as for the back, needs a bit darker. Like so. Yeah, looks good. A model overachiever Phil strikes again. Yes, I mean, Kersey said, can we be sure that the light is really looking like this when it comes from that direction? So, and my answer is always I don't know. Let's do the scientific experiment. And before we went to Maya, I tried to do the mock-up here with stacked index cards that are slightly at an angle. And yeah, Kersey was right. It was a good call to go to Maya. It was faster in the end. So, is this looking nice, or can we go even darker there? Again, it will look like this small. So I think that's good. So blending the colors together a bit more. And let's have some specularity on the bean, because why not? So the light is coming, let's say, from the top. So we have maybe here a speck and maybe here one. The thing is, of course, it should look like that's a shiny jelly bean, but also not that it's overly shiny and everywhere, because then it looks like it's under like 3 lamps or something. Next, we must model this bean for accurate shadows too. Yeah, let's hope at some point I can say, yeah, we're doing some artistic abstraction. But indeed, yeah, this you know me. So maybe, since I'm always overdoing specular reflections, let's also shave some off here. I'm also always checking how it looks in small, but we can add a little shadow since you brought it up. I mean, the little bean has to stand on something or somewhere, so we can draw a shadow there where it's standing. Why don't I see the shadow? Is it a user error or is it a program error? It's always a user error with me. So I'm painting, but I don't see it. Why don't I see it where I'm painting? Interesting. By which I mean not interesting. Oh, I think I have a hidden selection. Yeah, that's the thing. Classical user error. So I need to deselect the selection. And now I can paint here the shadows, and the shadows should not be brighter than the surroundings. So what should be my background? My shadow color should be the dark blue here. This looks nice, doesn't it? So this little bean is standing there inside the achievement frame. I think it's good. 4K 3-hour render, just to be sure. This is the reason why I got this beefy machine, that it doesn't take us 3 hours to render a bean, only 2. Yeah, for now I think we're good. I think we're good. I will save this now, but I've spotted some other things here, and it's these blue specks underneath the frame. So maybe I want to make sure that we don't have any transparencies underneath, because it's actually here the blue poking through. So for this, I just need to make a 100% opaque thing, and I give it here this dark brown color. So then whatever I'm painting, that it's always underneath. So the shiny, let's turn everything off, and here the background color, that we can clearly see where we paint through. I changed the background color to white. I said I change it to white. How can I change the background color to white? Oh, it's locked. The background is locked. Please let me change the background color. There we go. And yeah, now it's pretty obvious where where we can see things that aren't 100% transparent, and this is already where I started. So yeah, let's fix this. I picked the color white, which is not what I wanted. Of course, it helps if you have opacity at 100. And maybe, I'm pretty sure there's a better way of doing things. And maybe it's doing here a rectangle. Why is it wrong? Did I change the color? Oh, the opacity is at 5%. That contributed, but I think there should be a brush that is entirely opaque, and it's probably this one. Yeah, let's try it now with this one. At least I save myself a little bit now of unnecessary painting. Just a little bit. There we go, and then I will do the same thing probably for the blue background. But yeah, that's already much better. How many icons have you done so far? Well, this is the first one. Could you guess? And Kersey says, this pink bean is the first one, but the background is planned to be shared. Exactly, yeah. So hopefully things should be a bit faster now for what's to come. Good thing here is for the blue background, we only have some tiny blue specks there as well. So once they are filled, to be fair, it takes me much longer to paint on stream, because, you know, I'm a chatterbox and am easily distracted. So as a dog looking at squirrels is nothing compared to me when it comes to being easily distracted. Kersey, you know. So hopefully things should improve from here on. So of course, some things I've seen now where this brown paint is sticking over where it should not. So for this, I return to my good old charcoal pencil, this one. Oh, that's the wrong one. It was this one. Again, maybe I need to use also this shape for something else. Maybe menu push buttons or something. So this on one hand will save me time down the line because I already have the graphic for this. And on the other hand, it makes things look a bit more cohesive, which is also a win. So yeah. And also painting is fun. So it's not wasted time. It's just time spent well with having fun with my internet friends. Kirsty says, I might be a distraction sometimes. I mean, it's one hand if there's someone is saying distracting things. It is a completely different matter if someone says something and I go, oh, right, and remember something and then I go off on a tangent. So as long as if it's fine for you, I'm having fun. Gotta feel entertained somehow, right? You just say something along the lines of, wasn't there a Commodore game like this? And then you have me half an hour Googling and trying to figure it out and eventually emerge with a floppy disk from the basement. So we're almost there with the icon of the first bean. Then I can draw some more beans and then decide what to use them for, which achievements to use them for. So one thing that I've noticed is that there are these things in the center still. Where's my selection? There. Yeah. That's better. So, and I also need to reset my drawing. There we go. My orientation. All right, I flipped it. Cool. So overall, if we look at this thing at this size, it looks like an icon, like an achievement. I think this works. And when this achievement is locked, it looks like this, which also kind of works. I shall save it now and export this. Export as PNG. Where is PNG? There it is. And say achievement locked. And the cool thing is, we were talking about color spaces before, is when I save it here as a PNG image, I can say force convert to sRGB, so I don't even have to do the conversion myself. And I mean, we can store on the alpha channel, I don't need it, but I will save it now with an alpha channel. And force convert to 8 bits per channel, because right now I'm in 16 bits per channel. Again, there it says here 16 bits float per channel. Again, this is not something that usually Steam is happy to receive. Thank you for reminding me, Cursibu. How many icons will you need overall? Good question. I don't know yet. I only have a couple of different endings. I think I have 5 different endings. And then we'll have certain things that are very rarely done by players, but if they are thorough, they will get an achievement for it. So yeah, classic, I don't know yet. The game is, I only have a Steam page. It's not saying coming out next week, it's saying when it's done or coming soon. So let's call, you know what, it might be a good idea to also save this here as a blank. Export achievement blank, and have here the achievement bean. Look at us, 4 images, no, 3 images and 1 Photoshop file. Achievement pink bean. There we go. And I can take out here the old achievements. Is this the old one? Yeah, I can take this out. And I can even save it as a copy for Photoshop. Save as Photoshop Achievements 01. So now I'm as the Photoshop file. I probably should have saved it, not save as, but save copy. So I make sure that it's again a Krita file. Good. Interface is here. Subfill. Hello interface. Thank you for dropping by. I'm drawing achievement icons and took 3 hours to draw here this background frame. Again, we have here a mock-up in Maya just so we can be sure how it looks there with different light or with the current lighting setup. And yeah, I painted now the first bean, and there are a number of different beans in the game, and Kirsty said it might be fun to have an achievement where each bean has a different achievement associated. And let me show you the different beans. Okay, promo assets, beans art. There we go. So we have a couple of different beans here. So my favorite bean is here, this licorice bean, because it's just so derpy. So, and I think this will be the last bean that I draw today. So again, I'm not using entirely black, so 100% black and white, so something in between. A cocoa bean, right, because I also have here a coffee bean. So this new bean should be in a group that I call Bean Derpy. I mean, they are all a little bit derpy. I mean, they're a bit like cats, I feel like. So you only get different levels of derpiness. So let's increase the size here of it. And this bean is a bit rotated like this. That's the good thing that my game is. Oh dear, I've lost the mouse cursor. There it is, but in Krita. Okay, good. Let's save now. Yeah, I meant to say it's good that here with Krita, not with Krita, that the game is the many characters are just the beans, and the beans aren't too hard to draw. Even for someone who's very bad at drawing characters, such as myself, I think I can draw beans. I mean, now I can. Of course, the first couple of bean attempts weren't as usable for the end result, but so far I feel I'm sufficiently skilled to just draw some silly beans. So the problem with this dark bean was that it somehow, especially in the interface, it needed to read against a very dark, almost black background. And when you have very dark brown on very dark gray, you need something to make it stand out. So what my solution was, as you can see here when I changed the background to black, is that we have here this white rim outline. So I say, yeah, this bean reflects much more of the light than here the other beans. What is happening here? Photoshop is not liking at all what I'm doing here. Maybe it's also because here Krita is in the background, because the shortcuts work. Or it could be good old Photoshop just having a stroke again. So let's draw the funny little eyes, and they are joined here in the middle. Actually, also the eyes of this one are joined in the middle. Now come to think, all their eyes are joined in the middle. Well, should have done this earlier. But again, it's going to be so small, and people are not probably won't look at, are their eyes joined in the middle? It's probably like, oh, it's that bean again. So I'm not too concerned. See, I'm getting better with my perfectionism. So which color did we have before? It was this one, and it has slightly smaller pupils. That gives it this slightly silly look. Good. Kirsty says the Sonic the Hedgehog fandom would care. Yeah, indeed. But I mean, with Sonic, it was, I think you're referring to how Sonic looked in the first movie or in the first trailers to the first movie, where they went back in and said, yeah, probably we should do redo the design. So then we have here this tongue sticking out because it's not aware that its tongue is sticking out. So this is not blowing raspberries or something. It's just a bit stupid. I just saw a thread on Twitter about his eyes a few hours ago. Very topical. Oh, nice. So apparently it's still a thing then. So, how does this look? Does this look like a tongue? It kind of does. Maybe it's a bit too large even compared to the reference art. Yeah, I think that's good. Now I need to draw the little legs. And it looks like it's straining a little bit into this direction. So how large should they be? So we're having here a slight overhang, and from there it has here its little legs. It look like so. And the legs of this bean creature are slightly thicker than of the others because the intention is it weighs a little bit more than the others. So just to make sure that they're all at the same baseline. And then of course we have shadows. Yay! When I zoom out, it looks good. That's why you paint in much higher resolution than you actually needed. So all the little mistakes don't show up that well. Cool, so now we can get to shading the bean. For this, you know what, maybe I make the shape a little bit, clean it up a little bit more. That's not cleaning it up. That's the eraser good. So that it doesn't look fuzzy or something. I mean, it's still supposed to be a bean and not fuzzy in any way. Yeah, it's much harder trying to make a curve from the outside than from the inside. So I'm actually erasing here a bit more than I want, and then I'm rotating this. I'm rotating, please. There we go. The canvas. That the canvas follows here the flick of my wrist better, and now I have, looks like here, this curve going through from this side. Maybe also here for this little bean butt. Never thought I would draw bean butts on streams, but here we are, and I hope my poor mother is proud of me now. There we go. Okay, I like this shape better. It still has this slight kink there in the line. Yeah, probably won't get any better. Save. WinoCs4 says, I just saw the thread on Twitter about Sonic's eyes. Save. Okay, good. I select now the visible parts. Select opaque. And did I draw something there that I didn't meant to draw? Yes, I did. Can I delete this? Let's try this again. Select opaque. Yeah, and that is gone. Save. And now let's draw here the outline, or the rim light, so to speak. And the rim light was relatively white and slightly blue that I painted here. So I will just follow this. Have the size a bit smaller, the opacity down as well. How does this look in small? Could actually be a bit stronger or wider. So opacity down, size up. Yeah, I think that's the right direction. Wino C says, do you have any funny side interactions you could turn into hidden achievements? Well, I have some things. Yeah, I have some things that you can try or do, and you will get an achievement when you do. Of course, I don't want to spoil it too much, but yes, there are certain things that are utterly pointless that are possible with the options that I provide players with, and I will acknowledge through achievements that yes, a good idea that you came up with trying to do this. I, as the developer, already knew that someone like you would try this, so yes. Oh, automated unicorn, I'm sorry you have to yawn. But fear no more, automated unicorn. It's close to my bedtime as well. So when I'm done with this bean, I will call it a day as well. I'm not sure if you can hear the cows, but the cows are shouting again outside. Ah, the wonderful things you hear at night when you live on the countryside. It's shouting beans. Last week we had a party at the... what was it, the stadium or the sports club that was so loud that we could actually hear the lyrics of the songs that were playing. And sometimes it's weird animals at night when it's pitch black that you cannot place. Those are the creepiest sounds. So how does this look like? It still should hint at a bean shape, or is this a bit too much? It might just be a bit. Kirsty says, don't blame them too much. They are automated. The unicorns or the cows. Well, they are automated, but they still yawn. It feels like almost personal. At just the right points in my stories. And by right, I mean the wrong, of course. So let's increase here this. Because again, it has to work as a small 64 by 64 pixels outline when it's mushed down well. The spotlight here is a bit too much. It should help you gauge the shape, the silhouette of the beans, but yeah. Maybe if I make it very bright and very thin. So then it becomes just when there is a very bright but very thin outline and things get scaled down. Of course, this becomes just brighter pixels, brighter average pixels in this region. And yeah, this looks better. Maybe it also needs here, when I'm hinting at this sort of rim light, then I need to follow through. There we go. Maybe also the legs, because I have it here as well on the legs. Cursor says, Brighter Pixels sounds like a good charity name. Brighter Pixels for brighter lives. Oh yeah, that's good. Usually the names I come up with sound like goth punk bands. What was the other one that Connie and I think it only works in German. But or no, what was appropriate adult? Something like this. I can't quite recall it, but coming up with names that could be charities, I think that's much more wholesome than coming up with punk band names. Brighter pixels, brighter future. I mean, it's a bit overly shaded, but again, just to err on the side of legibility. And I can still turn down the opacity, maybe just a little bit. Or I could maybe, what did I just do? No. I could try, but this, of course, I have to then do overall, just make the blue a bit brighter, that it reads better against the blue. Yeah, I'm not sure what I want to do. Again, the problem is then I need to change all the already exported icons. PNG, achievement, black bean. So looking at the thumbnails here, I already like how they look. You know what? I think this was a very productive session today, and as always, the longest time was spent with questioning basic physics. Does the reflection really look like this when the light is coming from that side and so on? But now we are certain, and I will even save this here now as a button reference. Because who knows when I shall need it. For science, can you make it black and white? Sure. I just need to add the locked filter, and there we go. And I think this is now your punk band cover. The good thing is now with this black and white, as Steam does that when you haven't unlocked it, it looks nice. Actually, no, you can upload for every achievement how you want it to look when it is locked. So for example, here with Atomfall, for every achievement that is locked, you can see it has its own bespoke icon that is apparently what is underneath just blurred with the lock icon. Whereas other games, do the same thing here, just have it here of a different color. And other games still, their achievements all look the same, as you can see, when they are locked. So it's really up to the developer. So here in this case, they are just black and white. And I think, the consensus is, when you look at a couple of games, is what I also shown beforehand, is when you look at achievements and you look at the list. No, this is the soundtrack. You want at the first glance really want to see which one haven't been locked or unlocked. I wanted to show you here now, but all of them have been unlocked. So let's find something. Yeah, the Consuming Shadow. There it's very obvious. When I look here at the global achievements, the ones that aren't unlocked are super dark, and really the ones here in red really stand out. So, and I think, in the end, it really comes down to what works with the game, but overall, don't work too much against the consensus. Clearly, that must be new, says YNOC. I also probably haven't been paying attention. I don't know how new this was or is for my first game that I released over 10 years to this day. And of course, I also made the achievements. I'm pretty sure that I could upload different locked icons for each achievement. But you know what? I can look into the Steam backend and see how it is now. Tools, packages, few applications. Oh, the Steam backend. It's so convoluted. It's super hard to find what you want to, because it feels like this thing has grown again over 10, 15, no, 20 years, I think, probably. So where do we have it? Stats and achievements. So here we have it. Define and update your achievements, and there we have, this is the only one that I already have, and you can see here that's the achieved icon and the unachieved icon, and I can even say whether it's hidden or something. So I feel like this has been relatively long-standing. Achievements, what are they good for? Yeah, of course you can have stats, and see here in this reference example image they also have different unachieved icons. So I'm pretty sure that this has been around for quite a while, but I mean in the end it doesn't really matter. But as players, again, only you're interested in is what are the unlocked and what are the locked achievements, and you don't want to squint and think, do I already have this? Yeah, having it black and white or somehow subdued relative to the unlocked ones makes sense. And yeah, right, as Robocop has it here, some achievements you can see are in gold, others are here in silver, and others are in bronze, and they show how hard I think it is to get this achievement. I think wasn't it Xbox Live or the Xbox games in general have this tiers of different achievements, or was it PlayStation, where some of them are easy, some of them are hard, and some of them are super rare to find if you want to platinum a game. It's probably the games I play don't seem to do it, says YNOC. Yeah, in the end it all comes down to your personal experience, of course. Yeah, you never really look at it unless you start making these things yourself, and then here with Finesweeper, that's my game here, and the locked achievement is here, this lock icon, and the others all have this blue friendly background. I have one hidden achievement. What was it? Yeah, it's so long ago. But here, when you launch the game here, 72.3% of the people who bought the game have launched it at least once. And this is why I have here this other useless achievement, because as a player, did I really achieve something by just launching your game? But I, as a player, as a dev, no, okay. Almost 3/4 have started the game. Yay me. And others are just like, okay, for how much, how long have players played this game? So when I can see, okay, make it to level 20, I know, okay, only a third of the players really played for level 20. And then, of course, it here level 50, only 10% made it to level 50. So as I roughly have an idea of how long players have been playing the game. Right. The automated unicorn's tummy makes noises, so I think I have to feed it some fresh sparkles. And with that, I say thank you everyone who was here, who chatted, who lurked, who subscribed. And Kirsty, as always, thank you for debugging, helping me debug. Usually it's programming things, now it was art, and for asking the right questions, which helped me make the things. Let me save this again. By things, I mean the icons even better. So thank you a lot. And yes, you can feed the automated unicorn spaghetti, ramen. I didn't get to. Thank you for the stream, says YNOC4. And Kirsty says, no problemo. And I say, as always, thank you for being here, for being my internet friends, for hanging with me today while I just paint and talk trash, and also for enjoying the good old mini disc recorder in Phil's retro show and tell. Right, so the next stream will be next week on Sunday, so that is 8 days from now. And I'm not quite 100% sure if I get to stream, because on next week on Saturday and Sunday is the Level Up Gaming Convention in Salzburg, which I attended many times before. I think I went there now 3 times. And you probably, hopefully, have seen the one video, or actually there are 2 videos of my experiences there that I made. One, the VHS one. And yeah, I'm very much looking forward to going there. I don't have a stand or something. I don't have an appearance on the stage because people don't know me that much. So I will be just hanging at the retro games, and then probably just dither back and forth between retro games, pinball machines, and of course the indies that are there. So I always say that, hey, if you spot me there, I look like this most of the time. At the Level Up, probably a little bit more like this. Yeah, just hit me up, say hi, chat me up for a super awkward conversation, because I mean, streaming is one thing, but talking in person with people, I'm a bit shy. I always was and still am. So, I mean, maybe if I don't feel too too intimidated, you will get a sticker, a Pixel Prophecy sticker. You know the ones. So yeah, if any of you are there, please reach out. I don't bite, I think. Level up vlog again, says Cursey Boo. Again, YNC, thank you for the vlog. That you said the vlogs are great. I'm not quite sure, but I will definitely do some filming with my good old portable camera. So maybe I won't make an entire vlog out of it because God knows I have way too many video productions in production. So I don't want to add another one onto the pile. As you know, I have a stack-based video production environment. So only I push new videos on the stack, finish them, and then continue with the things that are lower on the stack. And again, the stack is already tumbling, swaying, that's the word. So I don't want to add on top of it. But like I said, I will record videos and then probably on the stream will show you some of the cool things that I saw, but it's probably not going to be a vlog. But still, I will make sure that I can share with you all the cool things that I saw, all the people that I've met, and all the coffee that I had. Hopefully. Have fun either way, says Cursey Boo. And yes, I will, like I said, I will try to have fun. And if there is free coffee, I will seek it out and find it, and maybe even find some ice cream. Thank you again. Thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful week. I hope I'm crossing my fingers and squeezing my thumbs, as we say that the next week in terms of work won't be as exhausting for me as weeks usually go. This week I had a week off, which was super relaxing and also meant that I had made some progress on my games. So hopefully you get a great week yourself. And again, thank you everyone for being here. And yeah, see you next week in 8 days. Take care. Bye bye.